Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the ABCs of Tongue Types. My name is Ruth Finney, and we are here this morning talking about the dictator tongue. The dictator tongue. I'll give everyone just a couple minutes, see if a few people pop up this morning. I hope everyone had a phenomenal Thanksgiving. I took a couple of days off and got a much needed breather. Okay, there we go. Got a much needed breather. So feeling pretty good, feeling pretty rested, and excited to be back. So, all right. So this morning we're going to talk about the dictator tongue. Now, I don't know about you all, but I happen to love my freedom, something that we often take for granted here living in America, where many other countries are under a dictator type structure. We have many more liberties here in America, and I happen to enjoy those liberties that I have. So I don't typically do well with the dictator tongue, and honestly, I don't know too many people who do, because as people, as humans, we enjoy the ability to be able to say the things we want to say, do the things we want to do, and feel free to be who we are called to be, who we want to be, who we desire to be. And so anytime we feel like those freedoms are taken away from us, it can be difficult. It can be difficult, especially when it's coming from another person, another human who's trying to take our freedoms away, trying to making the attempt to control our lives, control the things that we do, the things that we say. No one typically does well with that. Trying to, take away the things that make you you. So this morning, I want to talk about some key things to do when we are attempting to communicate with this tongue type. So what does that sound like? First of all, you have to recognize when you're dealing with a dictator, because most of the time I think people know, but maybe sometimes you don't. Maybe there are things that you don't necessarily pay attention to. Dictators are often very self-centered. They're very self-centered people. They often think only of themselves, how they are being seen, how they expect to be seen, how they want to be seen. They're very open about how they want to be seen. Good morning, Levi Boyd. How are you this morning? Welcome in. Good to see you. Good to see you. And they talk about a lot what's most important to them, because how they're seen, and they're very untrusting of others, which is typically why they want to exhibit control over you. So when they're untrusting, they want to try to control every aspect of their lives and every aspect of the people's lives around them, because they care very much about how they're seen and how, things are presented and how they're looking. And if you are a part of, or how they're looking, then they're going to try to control you as well. So that's one of the very common things about dictators, is that they tend to be very self-centered. They're also very egotistical, definitely meaning they want to take credit for everything that they did or even didn't do. If it makes them look good, whether they did it or not, they're very likely going to be the one to be quick to point out their successes. They may even exaggerate the truths of their successes if they think it's going to make them look better. So this is also a very typical characteristic of a dictator. They're also not very empathetic. They typically are not very empathetic. So you're not going to sort of, convince them or pull on their empathy strings to try to get them to change their minds, because remember, they're very self-centered and are more concerned about how it's impacting them versus anyone else. So that means they're typically willing to take more risk, more chances, because as long as it benefits them, they're not necessarily worried about who else it may not benefit, or even who it may harm or cause damage to. And they often feel justified in their actions. So it can be very hard to, convince them any differently or to do any differently, because they have made up in their minds that this is the right thing to do. This is how things need to be done. Their opinion is the only one that matters, because they often don't listen. They don't listen. They listen to themselves, their voice, their own thoughts, and they don't typically take in the words and advice of others around them. Only their opinion matters. When you're trying to give them recommendations and suggestions, a lot of times they will fall on deaf ears, and it'll be hard to get a word in edgewise. So they may often interrupt you when you're trying to talk. And often you'll feel like you're not very respected when you're around a dictator, because a lot of times they are trying to make you feel less than important, less than worthy, all those things. So they definitely typically don't have a lot of respect for those around them. They also can be very demanding in conversation. Address me as this. This is how I want to be approached. This is how I want to be addressed. And don't approach me in any other way. And they're very, verbal and vocal about letting you know that. And they will correct you every time. So never say these things or do these things in front of me. These are all characteristics of a dictator. So what are some key things that we need to do when we are dealing with a dictator? One of the most important things that I have found to be critical is to maintain control of yourself. Now, remember, we can't control them, and they're trying to control us. So we can't let that happen. We can't control them, but we can control ourselves. Dictators only have as much power as we give them. Okay. So we have to try to maintain control of ourselves, our thoughts. Don't be moved by their aggression when they raise their voices. They're intimidating and sort of pack mentality. And when I say that, is that typically when dictators have other people around them, those sort of yes people, those yes men, as people like to coin that term, they tend to be more aggressive, more straightforward, and I don't know any other way to say it. But anyway, they tend to have this sort of pack mentality. And it's like, what I mean by that is, if you've ever been around a group of stray dogs, like they all tend to hang together. There's always that leader of the pack, right? That's sort of that dictator. They run those people around them, and they're going to try to run everyone else who comes into their space as well. So if for instance, I remember walking. I used to walk every morning, early in the morning, like around this time, 5:30 in the morning, on this track that was just out, a public track, and it would be a couple of people out there, one or two. But this particular morning, I think there may have been one other person out there, and they were way on the other side of the field. And all of a sudden, this pack of stray dogs comes running up to me like full force. I mean, it was like 6 dogs, like maybe 6 or 7 dogs for sure. And I was like, oh my gosh, like fear immediately, came over. Now, I'm not typically afraid of dogs, but I definitely am cautious of dogs. And, I pay attention whether their tail is up or down and all that kind of stuff. So this morning, these dogs were aggressive. And there was this one dog that was just the leader. He was just full force charging at me. I was like, okay, there's no way I'm going to outrun these dogs. And I know, so there's no point in me even trying to run. So I said, well, maybe, so I'm in my head, I'm walking. I said, just keep my pace, keep calm, keep steady. Act like I'm not even impacted by their movement towards me. And I didn't. I never changed my pace. I never changed. I never even looked at them. I didn't even acknowledge them. So I kept walking, and these dogs ran up on me. Next thing I know, they're circling me. I can feel the breath of their bark on my ankles. Like it is just, they're that close. They're that, barking at me, trying to intimidate me, trying to get me to run. And I just never changed pace, act like they weren't even there. And before I know it, it wasn't 2 minutes later that those dogs walked away, and they went into the center circle of the field and laid down. They were completely defeated because I gave them no sense of intimidation or fear. And it's the same thing. It's the same sort of mentality that you do with a dictator. You try not to let them know that you are being moved by their aggression, that you're being intimidated by their aggression. And I know that that can be difficult to do because I was fearful inside. I was intimidated inside. I did feel defeated, but I also knew that if I was going to get through this and not have these dogs physically bite me and attack me, I was going to have to, do something different. And so I did. And it happened to work. So it's the same thing when you're dealing with a dictator. And I've dealt with dictator type supervisors and people that I've had to work for, and it can be difficult. They try very much to intimidate you, yell at you, or different things such as that to be effective. But be quiet, be unmoved, and be confident in who you are as a person. That you deserve as much respect as they do. Leave your emotions at the door when you are dealing with a dictator, because there's no room, there's no space for your emotions when you are dealing with a dictator, because they will try to control your emotions. They will feed off of those emotional responses that you give them. They're cues for them that, yes, I got them. I'm intimidating them. I'm getting them to do exactly what I want them to do. So you can't allow that to be in play when you're communicating with a dictator. To do this, you have to know your worth. You have to be able to know who you are. You have to feel confident that you are worthy, that you are deserving of respect. You're not less than, and you are capable. They will make you feel as though you are incapable of thinking, incapable of making good decisions, incapable of speaking a positive word, a good word, or a word that's even worthy of being listened to. They will try to overtalk you, these things to try to, make you feel like be quiet, right? Or they may even tell you to be quiet. We don't look to a dictator to give you permission to be who you are, because you're not going to get that from them. Their only concern is themselves and how they look and how they are being seen. So don't look for a dictator to validate you. Know your worth before you even enter into that into the space with them. Realize that if you're looking to receive credit from a dictator, very likely you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that credit. In fact, they're going to take whatever credit that you may be giving or expecting as their own. So don't look to give credit. If you are needing to receive credit or acknowledgement of things, know that it will come. Maybe not by the dictator, but it'll come in the time from the people who it needs to come from. So try not to get into a battle with worthiness with your dictator. Who we are and what is for us is for us. No one can take those things away. And even though when it can feel like a dictator is taking things away from us, God sometimes allows, certain things to happen, but really realize it's just a setup that you are being prepared. If you are his, you belong to him. He has something else for you. So try not to feel like a dictator is taking something away from you that you're supposed to have. It may feel that way. They may very much feel that way. Like, this person stopped me from getting a job. This person stopped me from, freeing me from doing the things that I want to do that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. And they're taking these things away from me. But often, if it's something that you're supposed to do, if it's for you, God will make it happen despite whatever dictator is in front of you, despite who's trying to take away your freedoms. He will allow you to make the space and move in ways that you would not even imagine to put you where you need to be. So trust me, when something is for you, it's going to happen for you. Avoid competition with the dictator, because they want to always be seen as the highest power. And often they'll play dirty to do that. They'll play dirty to make sure that they win. So give them credit. Give them credit where credit is due. Avoid battles of the ego with them, and if at all possible, when possible. Like I said, be confident in your value and don't look for them to concede. They're not going to concede to you if you are trying to get into a battle of egos or competition with the dictator type. So just avoid trying to get into competition, and stay focused on what it is that you are supposed to be doing. Don't let them take you away from your purpose, from those things that you're called to do, those things that you are, that in your mind, that that God has already given you, that's going to happen. So remember your why. When you remember why you're at a place, when you remember why you're doing the things you're doing, why you're there, you won't be moved by dictators. Whatever they do around you will not affect you the way it maybe affect others. So in everything that we do, remember, we're going to meet challenging people. Especially if we are moving in a path of purpose. If you're moving in a space where that this is where I'm supposed to be going, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, we're going to meet obstacles. And often those are going to come in the form of people in their mouths and the things that they're going to try to stop us from doing, the way they're going to try to intimidate us or devalue us, or tell us that we're not going to be able to do these things. So know that you're always going to meet challenges. You're going to meet obstacles. And it may be in the form of a dictator, Tom, who's trying to force you to do something different than what you're called to do. So stand your ground, stay focused, seek God in everything that you do before you make a move, and try not to respond, from emotion. So let's look at an example here. So let's look at an example. Let's say that we are looking forward to an opportunity or a promotion, right? We're at a job. We're looking forward to this. And however, even though we may be the most qualified person for the job, for whatever reason, the hiring manager doesn't care for us, right? They don't care for us. They think that we're not the best fit. And not only do we not get the job, but they will also put us somewhere else that we even don't want to be. This can be very difficult. Now we can respond in, tell them how we feel about them. We can respond in rage and be angry. We can cry or get emotional, all these things. But remember, when it comes to a dictator, those things don't move them. So all we've done is given them power over our emotions, and it has benefited us none. So remember that no matter who's in position, when God closes one door, he has another one there open for you. So like I said, oftentimes he has something better waiting for us. And so when we think that this door has been closed, when we think that it's the dictator that has closed the door, it may be the dictator that has closed the door, but it's also because God has allowed that door to be closed, because he has somewhere else he wants us to go, something else he wants us to do, someplace else he wants us to be. And so we can't get upset and realize, look at things from a spiritual perspective and not often from a natural perspective, because, God allows certain things to happen so that we can be moved into the direction from which he actually wants us to go. Often I have had, things happen to me that I thought, man, why didn't I get that? Why wasn't this, I thought for sure this was the thing I was supposed to do, the way I'm supposed to go. I know I'm supposed to be doing this. And then God slams the door. Somebody comes in and says, no, Ruth, you're not going to do that. You're not going to have that. You're not going to be coming in this direction. And I get upset and I, go to God and I get angry and this and that. And he says, I have something else for you. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. That wasn't the door. And so I have to keep moving, and I have to keep, trying different doors and seeking him and saying, okay, what is it that you have for me? Often he's preparing us even for what is coming, what he does have for us. So, let's say in the process, we get upset when we ask the manager, well, why didn't you hire me? Why did you feel that I wasn't a good fit? why did you put me where you did, right? Well, let's say we lose our cool and we do all these things. And they may reply with some answers that we know is not true because we know that we may be the most qualified person, or, whatever the situation is, because we know the value of our work. But they are not going to want to acknowledge that. They're not going to want to acknowledge that. Maybe they have, a friend who needs the position or something like that, or someone they're good friends with, and they want them in the position, and that's just it. So we can't, get into a debate over the things that we know is not true, because often they live in a space of non-reality. Dictators tend to, not accept things as they are. They only accept things as they want them to be. And so therefore they move differently, and they think differently, and they do things differently, and they say things differently than what may be the right thing to say or do. So, so just know, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to change their minds. So, we have to get back on ourselves. Am I going to let this dictator define me? Am I going to let this dictator stop me from doing, from moving my life forward, from doing the things that I know that I'm capable of doing? How much effort am I going to put into? Am I going to put forth effort to move myself forward, or am I going to allow them to dictate how my life moves? We can't allow them to do that. We have to continue to put our best foot forward, allow God to elevate us in the space and time that He wants. Remember, God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all we can ask or imagine. We hear all the time, He can make a way out of no way. But often, if you've not experienced these things, it can be hard to believe. It can be hard to believe that He will do these things if you haven't had enough experience with it. The enemy can cause us to doubt what it is that we are supposed to be doing. Good morning, Natural Way of Cody. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So yes, we can feel that dictator is trying to take things away from us. We can feel like we're not moving in the direction that we need to be going because this person is stopping us. But often that's not the case. God has allowed that door to be closed because He's moving us into a different direction. He can do above and beyond. He can bless us according to His riches and glory. Often all He wants us to do is to seek Him, is to look towards Him, to listen to what He says, to do and be obedient to the things that He calls us to do, be obedient to His word, and He will move you further than you ever imagined that you could go. So we may not be in a position to compete with the hiring manager, right? Obviously, they are who they are. We are in the position that we're in, and we can't tell them how to do their job, even though we may want to. But it could very be that we could run circles around them and the person that they hired. That doesn't mean that, we're supposed to, combat them. We say, thank you for your feedback, and we move on. Realize that, okay, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of thinking that you've ruined my life, because I thought this was the thing. To say, thank you for your feedback, move on, and keep move in the position, be the best at where you are. Oftentimes we get caught up in thinking that we're stuck, that we're somewhere that we're not supposed to be. But God has something for us in every position that we're in. And when we don't appreciate where we are, and when we don't take the time to be the best, to do our best work, to be at our best in service, when we are in somewhere because we think we're not supposed to be there, often we miss what we're supposed to get, and God will keep us there longer than we have to be. So when we show appreciation, when we do our best work, no matter what, you're going to move forward. Someone's going to notice. God is going to move you because you've done your best at where you are. And you didn't look for somebody else to validate you, to reward you, to do for you, because we receive our rewards and our direction from heaven. So, and so often when we are somewhere that we feel that we think we shouldn't be, ask God, Lord, what is it you want me to receive here? What am I supposed to be getting here? Who am I supposed to be blessing here? Sometimes we're in positions not for ourselves, but because of the people who we're supposed to be, ministering to, around them. So be open to where you are, and ask God, Lord, show me what it is I'm here, what I need to receive, and what it is I need to put out. And that way you don't miss what you're supposed to receive in that section before he moves you on to the next, because you will be moved. You will be moved. It's just a matter of time. His timing is always perfect. He knows the things that we have need for. He knows the desires for our lives, and he will move us in those places. So just keep your ear towards him, and not be moved by the dictators and the other people who are trying to control your life around you. Good morning, Shay's World. I'm good. I'm back. I took a little break for Thanksgiving and needed a little breather. And man, I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I did. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Mine was pretty good, quiet, very one or two people over, and that is about it. Thank you for smashing that like button. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Become a part of this talk family, and learn how to create the healthy relationships that you desire and you deserve. Okay. All I do is talk about communication on this channel, ways that we can do it better. This is a ministry channel, so I am going to bring Christ and God into it. So if that offends you, take what you want, leave what you don't. I will not be offended. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the compliment. Oh, you have your bell on. I appreciate that. Great. Awesome. I know it's early. It's 5 a.m. in the morning here, 6 on the East Coast, and 4 and 3 over on the West Coast. So I truly appreciate you all being here this early in the morning. I work full time and all that. So this is the best time for me to be consistent with you all. And I want to give you all some word of encouragement, some stuff that you can do before. Oh, it's 3 here. Okay. So you're on the West Coast. So I appreciate you being here. Truly, I do. So I want to give you all some encouragement before we go out into the world. The morning is my favorite time of the day. So if I was doing this at 10 o'clock at night, you would see a different Ruth. You would see a different Ruth. So, So know that dictators cannot stop our progress, because what's meant for us is what's meant for us. Setbacks are often setups, right? We hear that all the times where it's set up. We're being set up for the real place. We're being moved. When he says no to this direction, it often means that he's moving us into a different direction. So, and if we know our worth, we can continue to put our highest quality of service first, and not feel defeated by a dictator type tongue. Stay focused on what it is you're called to do, because when we can remember our why, we will not be moved by that dictator tongue, and we can express to them and not feel intimidated or anything by them. We can pray for them. We can, wish well for them, and not be moved by the way they try to dictate our lives, no matter how much they try. Purpose is often a narrow road. If you are walking your purpose, that road is very narrow. There's typically not a lot of room for, veering off into other things. So we're going to face challenges of the negative people. Those people who are going to try to stop us. It's the enemy's job to try to send people in our lives to stop us. And that's why we have to stay focused and not allow that dictator to cause us to want to quit, that dictating tongue, to cause us to say, you know what, if I have to do this, if I have to work with you, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. We can't do that. We can't allow them to cause us to get off course, to get off our purpose, to stop moving in the direction that we're supposed to go, just because we don't like them or they don't like us. That can't be. What are we going to say? Well, God, this person was in the way. They try to control me, and so And so I just quit. I gave up. Is that what he called us to do? No, it's not. So don't allow them to dictate your life. Don't allow dictators to stop you from living the life, doing the things, saying the things that you're supposed to say and do. Learn how to move beyond and not be moved by people who are trying to rule our lives. It's in the mind. It's in the mind. People only have as much power as we give them. They may think that they are controlling us, but as long as you have your mind, and you state and you're focused on who it is that you are and what it is that you're there to do, you will not be moved. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. You won't be impacted by it. Let's see what you all are saying. Good morning, Teleford Maid. How are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Yes. Okay. So dictators don't have to dictate any part of our lives. Their authority stops the minute we stop giving them the reins of our lives. Okay. Stop giving them the reins of your lives and their authority will stop. All right. It is 5:30. I'm typically only here for about 30 minutes in the mornings, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I appreciate you all being here so very much. That's what I have for you this morning. And I think key things that we need to do when we are, trying to communicate with the dictating tongue. So I'm going to say a quick prayer. We'll head out and I'll be back here on Friday with, let's see, what is this? DE, the egg. That egg is the person, the egg tongue kind of is what we're going to, that fragile person, that person that can be difficult to, they have a hard shell on the outside, but they're fragile. And so we have to learn how to communicate with those people. So that's what's Friday, if you are available in the morning or if you catch the replay. So I'm going to say a quick prayer and then we'll head out. Father, I thank you, Lord, for this day. I thank you for reminding us of who we are, reminding us that we have purpose, and reminding us, Lord, that you are the ultimate dictator in our lives. You have the final say, despite who comes in our path, who tries to stop us, whoever the enemy sends. You are the ultimate dictator of our lives. So, Father, help us to remember that. When we are moved, when we get upset by the people who come at us and try to stop us or try to harm us or try to, dictate how we move or take things away from us, help us to know that anything that happens in our lives is because you've allowed it to happen and you have that next place that you want us to go. Move us in that direction. Show us how to seek you. Help us to look to you, speak to our hearts, speak to our minds, comfort us, give us peace. Help us to understand that nothing in this world happens without your permission, that everything bad can be used for our good. So anytime we feel like we've experienced a setback, Lord, that you are setting us up for your glory, setting us up for the direction of which you want us to go. Lord, we thank you. I bless each person. Help us to not be moved emotionally, to know our worth, to know our value, to not be devalued by the people around us. People will always try to say negative things, but Lord, you told us who we are. We are your children. You love us, you care for us, and there's nothing that you will not do for us. You will move heaven and earth for even just one of us. So, and we thank you for that, Father, for reminding us that our value is in you and not the dictators around us. So when they try to dictate our lives, let us stay focused and remember our purpose and to keep moving keep moving forward in spite of, be our best selves. Father, we have to be the light in the space of darkness. So let our light shine when people are trying to, place their darkness over us. Bless every person in the chat this morning. Bless those who'll be watching the replay. Give us the strength and the courage to withstand the dictator tongue and to overcome the dictator tongue, to not let it put us down, but show us how to rise up above that dictator tongue. Father, we love you. We thank you. I ask these things in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thank you, Telemaid. I appreciate you joining this talk family. And I will see you all. Thursday, I'll have a lesson coming out. And like I said, we'll be back here on Friday for another lesson on the egg type tongue, that fragile tongue. All right. So you all have a beautiful day. I'm happy you caught me too. And I hope that you all have a phenomenal day today. Truly. Okay. Take care.